bang masundan? Mga aralin at nakabinding katanungan. Halika't sama-sama nating balikan. Lasang natin aabot kahit nasan ka man. Sa gitna ng palubok na panahon, kahatid sila kaakibat ay diskusyon. Sama-sama tayo kahit magkalayo. Sa programang ito, tak ang pagkakato. Teleradyo, Teleradyo Marcelo, Teleradyo, Teleradyo Marcelo. Makinig, manood na sa Teleradyo. Makinig, manood na sa Teleradyo.
Are you afraid to go out and connect to the crowd? Here we'll learn how to listen, here we'll learn how to speak up. Just click send, just click send, and people gonna see it. Hi, hello, good morning. This is about communicating by simply nodding and smiling. I think we are both agreeing. Oh, hi, hello, good morning. This is about communicating by simply nodding and smiling. I think we are both agreeing. you afraid to go out?
Ba't nag-play ulit?
Are you afraid to go out and connect to the crowd? Who will learn how to listen, who will learn how to speak up? Just click send, just click send, and people gonna see it. Hi, hello, good morning. This is about communicating by simply nodding and smiling. I think we are both agreeing. Oh, hi, hello, good morning. This is about communicating by simply nodding and smiling. I think we are both agreeing.
A radiant and glorious morning to you, Del Pilarians. You are tuning into Teleradyo Marcelo, ang telearalan ng bawat Malolenyo. Magandang buhay! We are delighted to have you here at Teleradyo Marcelo. I am Miss Francia May Giga Chalian, your lead to oral communication. Before anything else, let's have a recap. Last week, we discussed the different oral communication activities and the 7 C's to effective communication. Could you identify what the 7 C's are? Kindly type in your answers on the comment box. While we are waiting for your responses, let me hear from one of your schoolmates who is here with us, joining us live in the studio. Say hello to Roman Elijah P. Huertas of TVL2 CSSA. Hi, Elijah.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi, Elijah. So, Elijah, what are your takeaways from our last week's topic?
The 7C of communication ensures that you communicate in the most efficient and engaging manner possible and thereby enhance your productivity at work. It helps ensure your messages are clear, targeted, and well structured.
Thank you, Elijah. According to the comment sections that we have here, according to Generous Pia Tyson, the 7 C's of communication is clarity, correctness, conciseness, courtesy, concreteness, consideration, and completeness. Thank you, Generous Pia Tyson. And also, Justin Shan said the same thing, and Joanna Ferdi Milan. Thank you, Elijah, and thank you all to the Delpilarians who participated in our review session for today. It seems that you really understood our topic last week. I am sure that you will be learning a lot from our today's discussion as well. Let us now move on to our first activity. An effective communicator should be able to express their opinions well. So, for our first activity, we would like to know how you will communicate well in the following situation. Help us out to solve this problem. You are in a heated argument online with someone supporting a different candidate. You ask them why they're voting for the politician they chose, but their answers are very vague, which are the likes of everybody else is corrupt, or my candidate has done something already, or they made windmills in that one province. The person refuses to explain in detail, while your explanations do not lack evidence and facts. In the end, the person simply states that you should respect their opinion despite its vagueness and fallacies. What should you do? Type down your answers below. As we are waiting for you to type in your answers, we invited some of your schoolmates to express their ideas live here in the studio. Delpilarians, let us all welcome Mr. John Edred C. Hernandez of 11 AAD or Arts and Design A.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Red. How are you today? Could you tell us what is your take on the situation that was given a while ago?
First of all, ma'am, I have relatives from a specific province with a specific politician with specific windmill. So question hits so close to home. Now, what I'll
Mm-hmm.
do is that I'll agree with the person. I would respect their opinion as long as they mutually respect mine and that uh, their claims have factual evidences and reasoning. But as said in the question, it isn't. It's just enabler responses, and we've heard of them countless of times. And I believe it's our duty to educate the person regardless of what they think.
Ayan, te. Di ko siya marinig.
Hello, ma'am.
Okay na. O sige, go
Yeah.
ahead.
So, as I said, ma'am, it's just full of enabler response, and we've heard of them countless of times. And I believe it's our duty to educate the person regardless of what they think. These people could be anyone, a family, friend, or even a random stranger. And with that in mind, I would talk in a manner that the
Thank you,
general
Red, for your
public
opinion. Let us
could
now
answer.
move. That is a wonderful insight. Let us now hear from Miss Rosel Carla D. Ibay from 11 ABM D. So as
Good
you can
morning
see,
po.
guys, I took the effort of selecting students from across the strand. So I should know, or we should know, their ideas or your opinions about that specific situation. Yes, Rosel. Hi, Rosel. How are you?
Hello, good morning everyone. Dr. Lawrence. I'm doing fine here at my home.
Thank you, Rosel, for that answer. Let us now move on to the representative of 11 UMS B, Nico Ryzen A. Uchonko.
Good morning, ma'am. The question is really relevant today. In this kind of situation where we both are hot-headed, I think it's up for me to adjust in this type of circumstance. Because I'm the person who wants greater change, I'll continue to educate the person who has fake facts and vague arguments on hand. I'll not give up my stance because if we just continue and leave that person alone, he might spread more fake news and influence other people. It might result into a macro effect. It's better to sort things into proper communication and not let our anger be an hindrance to our communication. Let's be reminded that if you want to educate someone and change their ways into proper thinking, it will never be effective if it's rooted to hate and anger. Let's learn to educate and communicate into a much calmer and open environment because in this type of way, it will be more effective. We could able to connect, and the person we are talking to will listen about the information. Thus, effective and proper communication will bound to occur. That's my insight.
Thank you for that, Nico. I am very delighted that you are an advocate of and you are against fake news. It is very important for us, especially you, Del Pilarians, to go against or to refrain from spreading fake news. From 11 STEM A, let us all welcome Maria Andrea C. David. Andrea, how are
Good
you?
morning. I'm okay po. Good morning, everyone. So, returning to the question, nowadays there's a lot of people who are victim of false information. They're easily believed on the things they just read on Facebook or on the videos that they just watch on TikTok without even conducting research, without even thinking if the data they gathered was really based on the truth or just fake records. These individuals often say on their argument the word respect my opinions because these are the ideas, principles, and ethical ideologies that I personally believe. However, they must also learn how to open their eyes, look on the broader perspective, try to look on the effects of their viewpoints on the life of every individual, especially to those who are unprivileged, those who need to bend their body and work under the sun just to provide all the needs of their family. Try to be observant because our political stand not only reflects our values, but it is a vital in the process of nation building. And the danger of a person refusing electoral education is equally as fatal as corruption. They tend to receive twisted truths. They are being manipulated by historical revisionism. And I'm not forcing anybody to change their political viewpoints just because I say it now, because that's really your choice. But I am urging everybody to be wise in supporting politicians. Because if you can read a book in one sitting or watch K-drama for 24 hours straight, I do not see any reason why you can't afford the same effort and enthusiasm in getting to know our politicians. Remember that your voice matters as well as your vote.
Thank you so much, Andrea. I took or what I understand it with what Andrea said. Research is very important, guys. Do not believe with everything the social media dictates, especially if the references or the information is not credible or it came from an unreliable source. And also, please refrain from bullying others online as well. Last but not the least is the representative of the TVL strand from 11 TVL1. Let us all welcome Mr. Kurt Tristan R. De La Rosa.
Ayan. So, good morning, ma'am. Good morning, Delpilarians. Um, the first thing I should do based on the situation, obviously, is to calm down. Obviously, because the situation that I'm in is extremely nerve-wracking, and it's so stressful on my part because the person with whom I'm arguing is just spouting vagueness and fallacies. Keeping my cool in such a situation is vital because it will help me to improve my communication skills. The second thing I should do is respect and recognize what my opponent is saying. Even if my opponent is simply basing their statements on their opinions, respecting one's point of view, respecting one's opinions, even if they are being unreasonable, is useful to avoid or prevent further conflicts. And the third and final thing I should do is take a step back, because if I keep arguing with that person, nothing will change because our statements contradict one another. They will just keep stating their opinion while I'm stating things based on evidence and facts, resulting in an endless and pointless argument. Before I conclude, I'd like to point out that this example situation is very common on social media and even in real life, especially now that an election is approaching.
Before I
And
conclude,
that's
I'd
all.
like
Thank
to
you
point
po.
out that this example situation is very common on social media and even in real life, especially now that an election is approaching.
Thank you, Kurt, for that wonderful answer or wonderful insight. What I took from Kurt's answer is that we should be respectful on each other's ideas and also be aware on who is sincere in their advocacies or the candidates' advocacies. We have discussed the fall or the previous weeks that um, credibility is a very important in a candidate. So for those Delpilarians out there who are privileged and who have the right to vote, please choose your politician or choose your presidents or election politicians wisely. From the comment box, according to Anton Rafael Malyari, my answer is similar to the answers of the ones who commented before me. To listen to their opinions, but have them listen with respect. According to Valerie Pulumbarit, we should educate that person that politics relies on the facts and evidences and do not only base on opinion. There is no wrong about respecting opinion, but if the opinion contains misinformation, then we should um, educate that person. Next is according to, there are a lot of opinions, by the way. According to Eli Lomotan, instead of arguing, we should educate them. Yes, may opinion silang sarili, pero kung yung opinion nila is supported lang ng TikTok, YouTube, and personal posts and from the facts and evidences, magiging pointless lang and stop na lang siguro. Purgahin na lang ng post tungkol sa truth. Okay, thank you for that. Last one. According to Brielle Jacob Labang, I think I should not argue anymore. I am giving facts, not opinions. That is why I have done my part to educate that person, and it is his choice whether he or she will listen or not. We should respect opinions, but if you are presented with facts and statistics, you should consider changing your answer. Thank you for being brave and expressing your ideas, Del Pilarians. Bravery is such an important value for you guys to possess, especially during this time. We could now move on to our discussion part, but before that, I want you to find a place that is free from distractions so that you could focus on our discussion for today. Sit up straight, listen very carefully, and try to not fall asleep. Stretch your bodies too if you haven't yet. It is healthy to stretch 10 minutes once per every hour of screen time. To begin, here is our learning competency. Listen very carefully. For this lesson, you must be able to identify the various types of speech contexts. Are you ready? Let us start. You have now realized that your ability to communicate affects your relationship with other people around you. If you remember the transactional model, you will probably remember as well that communication can shape the social realities around us. That means that we exist in different contexts. But what is context? Context, when referring to speech communication, is the surroundings, circumstances, environment, background, or setting that determine, specify, or clarify the meaning of an event. Moreover, according to the video last 2005, context refers to the setting in which the communication takes place. Context helps you to establish meaning and can influence what is said and how it is said. Speech context is very important because it helps you communicate appropriately, understand the meaning of any message conveyed, and respond accordingly. For you to have a clear grasp of what speech context is, let's talk about them one by one. The first type of speech context is intrapersonal. Intra means within. Therefore, intrapersonal communication deals with communication with, that's right, yourself. You're not crazy, however. This refers to a type of communication that is focused on one person, where the speaker acts both as the sender and as the receiver of the message. The message is made up of thoughts and feelings, while the medium is the brain that processes what you think and feel. Here are a few examples. There is a voice within you that tells you, it's okay. You can still do it. You can make it. when you are losing your drive to finish the task that you are doing, when you told yourself not to talk to your friends, when you have to read in or when you have read in a Facebook post that they have or that they were in a party and you were not invited. The next speech context is interpersonal. This refers to the type of communication that takes place between and among people and creates a personal relationship between and among them. Normally, it includes two individuals and it can vary from casual and very personal to formal and impersonal. There are a lot of examples of interpersonal speech contexts, so make sure to listen very carefully. The four types of interpersonal communication. The first type of interpersonal communicative situation would be dyad communication, which is communication that happens between two people. Some examples would be you consoling your brother who was feeling down, and maybe even a conversation between your father and mother about the latest announcement of your barangay chairman. The next example of interpersonal communication is small group or a small group discussion. This applies to interactions involving at least 3 but not more than 12 people engaged in a face-to-face interactions to achieve the desired goal. In this type of conversation, all participants can freely express their ideas throughout the discussion. If you are having a discussion with your two brothers about the surprise party that you're planning for your mom's birthday, you have a small group discussion. Or maybe if Kathleen, who came back from the United States, called her 3 brothers and 4 sisters and announced that she is getting married, she would be engaging in a small group discussion. The next one is public interpersonal communication. This type refers to a communication that enables you to send or deliver a message before a crowd. The message can be transmitted for informative or persuasive purposes. According to Hybels and Weaver, in public communication, unlike interpersonal and small groups, the channels are more exaggerated. The voice is louder and the gestures, they are more expansive because the audience is larger. This is mostly your idea of public speeches. Delivering a graduation speech to your fellow graduates is an example. If you were elected as the new SSG president of your school and were given a chance to deliver a message of gratitude to your fellow students, you would be engaging in public speaking. And lastly, we have mass communication. This refers to communication through television, radio, newspapers, magazines, books, billboards, the internet, and other types of media. Some examples include: you are watching a televised briefing of the IATF on COVID-19, or you have a recorded commentary for your school's online discussion of the pandemic and uploaded it in your social media account. This actually, Del Pilarians, is also an example of mass communication. You watching the Teleradyo Marcelo, ang telearalan ng bawat Malolenyo. Different speech contexts, whether it is intrapersonal, interpersonal, public, or mass communication, requires different approaches. Though there might be some occasional similarities, you should at least know how to behave and how to respond to various speech contexts appropriately. Here are some tips on how you can adapt to the different contexts that exist. First and foremost is when you are talking with yourself. You might be familiar with the feeling of quietly talking to yourself in your mind, and it's normal and good for you. By performing this, it makes you think and reflect on the things you have done or are planning to do. But here are some important reminders that you need to keep in mind. Use self-talk to your advantage. Cheering yourself up before an important event or talking to yourself while complimenting a task are two different perfect opportunities for self-talk. That is according to Gold in 2018 in his or her article, Talking to Yourself is Normal. And of course, don't overdo it. While it is normal to talk to yourself constantly, it is better not to overuse yourself of doing so. The most important reason why people end up talking to themselves is because they feel like they do not have someone else to talk to. To address this, you need to be more sociable. It would give you more people other to talk to other than yourself. Next, if you are put in a situation while you are consoling your friend who is feeling down or simply talking with your classmates about your plans for a group activity, that is an example of a dyad and small group communication. This kind of communication implies that the conversation is being shared and there is exchange of ideas. Small group involves different skills because unlike dyad, it consists of more than two people. In both cases, you can be as natural as yourself. However, unlike a running conversation in your head, you must consider that there are others who are equally important in the conversation. Thus, to achieve successful communication in a dyad or a small group, you must consider the following. Number one, listen carefully. Needless to say, this is the very basic foundation of effective communication. You must listen carefully and understand what the other person is saying. Asking clarification for the questions lets the other person know that you are indeed listening attentively. More so, take an active part. You also need to be heard and understood when it is your time to speak. Number two, check your tone and body language. The vocabulary of the body is more revealing than the actual words you speak. So watch your tone and body language while you are talking. Is your tone tough? Do you smile and encourage the person you are talking to? Your body language talks more about your emotions and thoughts than your actual words. According to Oakes in 2017, and you must bear this in mind the next time you have a conversation with someone. Check your body language to ensure that it is consistent with your words. And finally, public speaking. Speaking in front of the crowd requires many preparations, from analyzing your target audience to planning and drafting your speech up to the rehearsing part. The key, therefore, is to come prepared. Be prepared and also be yourself while you are on the stage and speak in the way that you will be easily understood by the audience. You will know more about this in the succeeding lessons about the principles of speech delivery. And that is it for our types of speech context. Did you learn a lot from our discussion? That's great! Naka- I believe that you learned a lot from our today's discussion. What an informative lesson, isn't it? To summarize, guys, intrapersonal communication is your communication within yourself. Interpersonal communication on the other hand is your communication with other people. There are two types of interpersonal communication, the dyad and the small group. The dyad is communication between two people. Small group is within or your communication with 3 to 12 people. And of course, public communication is about public speaking. And last but not the least is mass communication or communication through the use of different media. Okay, now let's test if you really listened well in our discussion. But before we proceed, for more fun and exciting learning, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share Teleradio Marcelo and on Facebook and YouTube. Here you can rewatch the lessons that you've missed so that you can learn anytime, anywhere with Teleradio Marcelo, ang telearalan ng bawat Malolenyo. For our last activity, are you ready? Close down your notes and listen carefully in our assessments. This time, we are going to play Ace Attorney Cross Examination. You're just going to type proceed if the witness statement does not contain any contradictions, and objection if it does, and write the reason for the statement being contradictory. So, for example, Mayon volcano is in Batangas. The answer to that question is it's an objection because Mayon volcano is not in Batangas, it's in Albay. So you're just going to type in the statement in our comment section. I am very sure that you can do this, so let us start. Del Pilarians, Ace Attorney, cross examination. Number 1. Under the intrapersonal context of communication, only one person is acting as a sender and receiver. Under the intrapersonal context of communication, only one person is acting as a sender and receiver. Don't forget to type in your answer in our comment section and make sure that you took a screenshot of your attendance here today because it will be checked by your respective oral comm teachers. So the answer for number 1 is proceed. Proceed. Let us check if you got it right. So according to Virgilio Castillejo, proceed. Yes, proceed. So the answer is proceed. Intrapersonal communication is a type of communication that is focused on one person where the speaker acts both as the sender and the receiver of the message. The message itself is made up of your thoughts and of course your feelings, while the medium is the brain that processes what you think and feel. Okay? Proceed. Correct, Gian, Mario Santos. Let us now move on for number 2. You are talking to yourself. You talking to yourself is an example of mass communication. You talking to yourself is an example of mass communication. You may now type in your answers. Thank you, my dear learners, for actively participating in today's broadcast. I hope you'll be with me until the end of this program. So, what is the answer in number 2? According to Kenneth Brian Tabalinar, it's objection. Justin Rain Valderrama, it is also objection. Why is it objection? What makes it false or what makes it not true? According to Nicole Ann Godin, objection because it is an example of intrapersonal communication. According to Joella Almario, you talking to yourself is an example of intrapersonal communication. Okay? If your answer is objection, you are correct. If it is not mass communication, talking to oneself is an example of intrapersonal communication. Great job, Del Pilarians. Let's have number 3. A commencement speech is an example of public speaking. A commencement speech is an example of public speaking. A commencement speech, guys, is the speech that you give when there is a commencement exercises or if it is your graduation. So is it an example of public speaking? If you already sent your answers, can you please tap the wow button for me to know how many students are still active? Okay, there are still a lot of you here. Thank you very much. The answer from the comment box. So what do you think is a commencement exercises or commencement speech rather? Is that an example of public speaking? So according to Lance de la Cruz, we may proceed now. Danielle Valencia also said proceed, and also MJ Layog Alvarez. According to Jan Mariel Cruz, we could also proceed. Let's check the answer. The answer in our third word is proceed. A commencement speech is an example of public communication or public speaking. Fourth, small group discussion involve two people communicating with each other. Small group discussions involve two people communicating with each other. Type your answers in the comment box. I hope you are enjoying our class for today. If you do, you may also share this broadcast so that other students can join us here. Just keep on sending your answers. Your oral com teachers are monitoring your inputs. What do you think is the answer on number 4? Small group discussions involved two people communicating with each other. Seth Gaspe said, objection, small group discussions involves at least more than 3 but not more than 12. According to Angela May Calado, objection because two people communicating is called dyad communication. The answer is, okay, time to check your answer. The answer for our first item is, of course, it's objection. It's supposed to be dyad, not small group discussion. So did you get the correct answer? So for number 5, a group chat is an example of a dyad communication. Is a group chat an example of a dyad communication? Type in your answers. Is it uh, can we proceed or there is an objection in that statement? Number 5, a group chat is an example of a dyad. Ayan. Number 5, according to Ezekiel Jude Rodrigo, objection because it is mass communication. According to Jory Sontaire, objection. A group chat is an example of a small group discussion. Ayan. Objection. A group chat is an example of a group small discussion according to Carl Angelo Hosol. So it seems that you're done answering. Let's check it now. If your answer is objection, you are right because it is an example, or a group chat is an example of a small group discussion. For the next number 6, public speaking and mass communication are not in the interpersonal context. Next is number 6. Public speaking and mass communication are not in the interpersonal context. Public speaking and mass communication are not in the interpersonal context. While you are answering, then let me thank again those students who participated in our activity a while ago. Thank you guys for being such a good sport. Next time we'll be asking another set of students to join us here live in our studio in Teleradio Marcelo. So according to Joel Almario, objection because public speaking and mass communication are types of interpersonal context. According as well to Rohain Joy Lubo, objection. Public and mass communication are part of interpersonal communication. You are correct. The answer is objection. And under the interpersonal context are small group and dyad communication, not public speaking and mass communication. So for number 7, in public communication, the voices are soft and the gestures are limited. So in public communication daw, the voices are soft and the gestures are limited. Can you tap the heart button while you are answering our 7th item? Thank you, my dear students. What is the answer for number 7? It seems that we are having another technical problem at the moment. But what is number 7? Number 7, in public communications daw, the voices are soft and the gestures are limited. What do you think is the answer? John Kenneth S. Laureta said, objection, because the voices should be louder. You are correct. If your answer is objection as well as John Kenneth said, then you are correct. In public communication, guys, your voice should be loud and clear. You should also maximize your movements and gestures. It is very important that your audiences know that you know how to communicate and to use your nonverbal cues well. And also, they should be able to hear you clearly and concisely. Next is number 8. Talking to yourself is not beneficial and should be avoided. Talking to yourself is not beneficial and should be avoided. So when you are talking to yourself now, it is not beneficial to you. It's not, you won't gain any advantages in talking to yourself, and it should be avoided. Do you think we should proceed with that statement, or do you have any objections to that? Bear with us, guys. We are having a technical problem here live in the studio. What is the answer number 8? According to Joseph Dion Domingo, objection. Talking to yourself helps you for knowing yourself better. Raven also said that it is beneficial to talk to oneself. Charles Cortuna, with all capital letters, said objection. Talking to yourself will boost your self-esteem. Thank you, everyone, for your answer. Now, we do appreciate your active participation in every broadcast here in Oral Com Diaries. The correct answer is objection. You should not avoid it. It is okay to talk to yourself sometimes. There's nothing wrong with that. Let us now move on to number 9. Number 9, always keep a loud voice in a dyad, as if you're talking to a crowd. Always keep a loud voice in a diet as if you're talking to a crowd. While you are asking, let me make this opportunity to acknowledge and thank our subject group head, Mr. Virgilio J. Valenzuela. Thank you for supporting us. Number 9, guys, always keep a loud voice down when you're talking to a diet. When you're talking to someone, you're only two people. So, as if you're talking to a crowd. Is it okay for us to proceed in that? Or do you have any objection in that statement? Number 9, according to Anne Claire Victorino Sayas, she said that objection, it should be moderated, for it may cause a misunderstanding. Also, Jade Sarmiento said, objection, you shouldn't be loud since the communication is only between two people. That is also correct. Simon Bravo said, objection, your listener will go deaf and it is unwise for you to shout when there is only two people. The answer is objection, of course. In diet communication, guys, there is no need to keep a loud voice because that only involves two people communicating with each other. Okay, it is time for our last item for today. Number 10, acknowledging your feelings and processing them is an example of mass communication. Number 10, acknowledging your feelings and processing them is an example of mass communication. So, is mass communication involved your acknowledgement of your own feelings and your process of that certain feelings? Could we proceed with that statement, or do you have any objections in that? Keep your answers coming. I would like to thank my fellow oral com teachers, my other lead to oral communication, Sir John Lester Zamora, our technical director, Ma'am Janina Venturino, our scriptwriter for today's episode, Ma'am Isabel A. Macale, and the other OCC teachers and scriptwriters, Ma'am Eunice Ansitamco, and of course, Ma'am Raquel Canlas, and also Sir Paulo de Guzman, as well as the other teachers from the English department. So from our comment section, according to Rafael Perez, objection, because you only need to talk to yourself to process your feelings and not a whole crowd of people. Elijah Intal also said objection because mass communication is interpersonal. What are you doing here, Elijah? Elijah is one of my advisory in 12 STEM B. Thank you, Anak, for supporting me. Next is, according to John Raven de la Cruz, objection. Acknowledging our own thoughts and feelings is under the intrapersonal communication. Okay, thank you for your answers, Del Pilarius. The answer for our last item is objection. It should be intrapersonal, not mass communication. That's it for our last question for this activity. We hope that you learned a lot from our discussion here in Oral Com Diaries. Thank you for actively participating. For the second part of our assessment, here is the link, bit.ly/OCC Week 5, and the QR code for our online assessment for today. Again, scan or type the URL here on the screen, but I doubt there is something here with me in the screen at the moment. We're having a technical difficulty. It is flashed in the screen. Okay, thank you for that, Ma'am Hilda. Ma'am Hilda is flashing it with me at the backstage. Thank you. This will serve, guys, as your attendance for today's discussion. Make sure to type in or to answer the respective Google Classrooms. So, and that is another quest filled with new learnings and fun. Tune in for our next episode where another adventure awaits here in Oral Com Diaries. Communication sometimes is not what you first hear. Listen not just to the words, but listen for the reason. Once again, I am Miss Francia May Gigachilian, your lead to communication, signing off.
I say speak it up, your thoughts and feelings. I say speak it up, what's in your mind? Everyone right now is facing a pandemic. We have no choice but to stay away from the public.
But that doesn't mean we'll stop socializing. Sarcom is everywhere for everyone.
I say speak it up, your thoughts and feelings. I say speak it up, what's in your mind? We will not give up, we'll continue sharing. Let us speak it up. Oral communication. Oral communication. I say speak it up, your thoughts and feelings. I say speak it up, what's in your mind? We will not give up, we'll continue sharing. Let us speak it up. Oral communication.
Radyo is always at your service. Kaya naman, ang feedback mo, suggestions nyo ay mahalaga sa amin to improve our programs on air and online. Para alam ni teacher yung strengths as well as the things in your mind na mas makatutulong sa mas effective na pagkatuto sa teleradyo. Please take time to send your feedbacks via Teleradyo Mu, which you can access by scanning the QR code on the right or typing the URL provided here, bit.ly/3ORVAY9. One more, this time you follow. bit.ly/3ORVAY9. Kaya send your hashtag TBH o hashtag RT dito sa Teleradyo Mu, kung saan ang feedback mo, suggestions nyo ay mahalaga sa teleradyo.
Makinig, manood na sa teleradyo. Makinig, manood na sa teleradyo. Teleradyo, Teleradyo Marcelo. Sa